Today I want to talk about the memory palace. Now, I probably don't have to tell you, memory is important for making deductions. Two types of memory that are very important. Information that you observe, you need to be able to remember it while you're working on it, and also information that you have stored in your memory that is in the form of knowledge from research and study that you've done. It's important that you be able to remember this also. Well, a technique that I find useful for remembering information is the memory palace. What this is basically your brain is very good at remembering spatial information, okay? The locations of objects. That's a very powerful thing. So what you do is you take information that is spatial and you place, or is not spatial, okay? Information that is spatial and information that is not spatial, both can be used. What you do for information that is not spatial is you find a spatial way to represent it. For example, if you need to remember to go to the library, a spatial way you can remember that is to take the object, a book, and use that to remember the library, okay? Book equals library. It's pretty simple. So you might imagine what you do is you take this information and you place it in locations in a virtual space in your head, okay? In your mind. What this is it's like imagine your house, and imagine you're in your bedroom, and you imagine that there is a book on your bed, okay? And this book represents the library. And you do this to remember that you need to go to the library today, okay? First thing when you get up in the morning, go to the library. That's why it's on your bed. First thing when you get up, go to the library. Let's say you next need to remember that you need to go to the grocery store. So you walk into the hallway in your mind, and you imagine yourself walking. You go into the hallway, and there is a bag of groceries on the floor. And this is to remind you that you need to go grocery shopping today. Library first, then grocery shopping. You could switch it around if you wanted to remember in a different order. Groceries on your bed, and then a book in the hallway to remember that you need to go grocery shopping and then go to the library. Basically, what you do is you just take the information and you place it in locations in this virtual space. Then you imagine yourself going through that virtual space and seeing where you left all this stuff, or rather seeing what's in the room. The key thing is that the information needs to be, you really need to cement the information in each location. Really think about it being there. Don't just say, there's a book in my bedroom, and move on. Think about, really visualize it in your head. Imagine you're in your room, imagine you're seeing the book there. And then move on. And then when you go back to your room to try and remember what was there, it's easy to remember that it was a book. So you don't even need to have a very powerful memory to use this technique. But basically, it's easy to remember a deck of cards by simply taking each card and symbolizing each card by remembering something and associating it with, the card. For example, I've got a card right here. This is a Jack of Diamonds. The Jack of Diamonds, I could simply associate, in my mind, I associate this with the Marvel Comics character Professor Xavier. I imagine Professor Xavier, and I remember him in a particular location in my house. Okay, that's how I remember this. Is I imagine if I get to I walk through my house, I have a particular order that I go in. I remember when I get to this room, if it's Professor Xavier in the room, that means that the next card is the Jack of Diamonds. And so that's basically how I do that. I remember each card in the deck as a person, and I walk through my house and imagine these people there. Or I walk through the house in my head. Then when I want to remember it, I just go back, I walk through again, and I remember which people are in each room, and it's really easy to remember that. Then I just remember which card went with each person. So you take information, and you spatially represent it by imagining a virtual location or a real location in your head, like your house. You could just imagine your house. Imagine walking in a predefined path, if you want to remember the order. Imagine walking in a predefined path, and imagine these physical representations of this information in various locations on that path. And this will allow you to remember the information in the future. And what's cool about this is that I can memorize the deck in like 5 minutes and remember it for as long as I want. I mean, I once memorized the deck, put it away, came back a week later, and could still remember the order exactly, because that's how powerful spatial memory is. It's like you're hacking into the long-term memory in your brain, so that you can remember something very quickly and get it put into a long-term storage. It's really, really, really cool. And so, if I didn't make anything completely clear in this video, please let me know in the comments, and I will try to answer any questions that you may have and try and make this a little bit more clear. As I said, it's very important to have a good memory for deduction, remembering information. If you watched BBC's Sherlock, you may have noticed that they did something similar called the Mind Palace, something kind of like that, in which you store information, in which Sherlock stored information in his mind in this fashion, although it was very stylized, and sometimes it was they just made stuff up. But at the same time, Memory Palace is a real technique, and it can be used to remember information better. So again, if I didn't make anything clear, just let me know in the comments, and I will do my best to answer your questions. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Alright, thanks again. Bye.